And then, there we go. Okay, welcome to Raising Strong-Willed Kids Summit. My name is Andrea Milioti, and I'm your host. And today I have Stacey Turis, and Stacey is the best-selling author, neurodiversity advocate, and total brain geek who loves educating the world about everything mindful, including neurology, mindfulness, body awareness, breath work, meditation, yoga, positive psychology, and energy healing for over 15 years. So on that note, welcome. Welcome,
Thank
Stacey.
you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you. You are definitely, I love you. I think you're definitely a role model for me, and I learn a lot from you.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, why don't we start with mindfulness? What is mindfulness?
So mindfulness is this big buzzword, right, that goes around everywhere. And some people kind of think they know what it means. And mindfulness essentially is paying attention to the present moment on purpose without judgment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically taking us out. It's practice, the practice of taking us out of a state where we're just constantly reacting to our environment. And so the reason mindfulness is so important, especially when it comes to neurodivergence, ADHD, because we are already in a reactive state, right? Humans do that anyway. But then you take the physiology of our brain and the mood changes that we have to go through already depending on our environment, right? Because our moods can change and people think it's us, but it's not us.
No, I just
walk into a room.
I was diagnosed like only 5 years ago. I was like 15.
Oh,
I was 15.
Yes.
And I lived my whole life not knowing.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah, my son is 20. My son was diagnosed 7, but I still didn't put it together.
Yeah, well, it's a lot because it's not just A, B, and C. It's not just, oh, a hyper kid. It's not just distractibility. It's almost like, I mean, the way that I teach my kids, just so they understand their place in this world, is that we're almost like a different type of being, right? Mm-hmm. Is that neurodivergence of our brains. So when we're talking about brains, it's like, okay, well, you do have neurotypical people, but then you have this neurodiversity. And the idea of treating diverse neurology as a deficit instead of just a different being, really, I think, hinders everybody. And so with that neurodiversity, we're saying, okay, well, we're already reactive, right? So we need to stop and make space. And that's what mindfulness does. It just makes space for you to think about and be present, like, okay, this is something that triggers me, right? That's what you're saying to yourself. Someone says something and it triggers you and you react. And so when we're talking about mindfulness, we start making space to not react so much, to actually give a pause and go, I feel like going out of my mind right now, but why? What is triggering me? So it's just a constant state of making space so that you are part of your reactions. You're making choices about how you want to go forward with something instead of just flying off the handle and reacting.
Interesting. That's really a good, oh my God, that's really interesting. I really like that. All right, why is mindfulness like important when it comes to building the resiliency in our kids?
Well, so that's the thing. So with our teens, right?
Yeah,
puberty going on. So we have this neurodivergent brain. And then we have our chemical issues, our lack of connections, already we have things going on. lack of blood flow in certain parts of the brain. So then you add puberty on top of it. So puberty, they have their logic, their emotion, all the connections aren't connecting at the same time. So they're highly emotional where their logic maybe hasn't checked in. You also have this, teens have a lower baseline for dopamine. And so when they're going out looking for those experiences, that stimulation, they don't have that logic that says, hey, dude, maybe that's not a great way to stimulate yourself, right? And so they search high and low to get that dopamine up. And they will do it in ways that are maybe not so beneficial, maybe that are dangerous, maybe eating, not healthy food, those simple carbs that give them that burst that they want, but then they crash. And so what we're trying to teach them is, listen, this is how your brain works. This is already with ADHD, this is how your brain works. When you're adding those puberty on top of it and all the different neurochemicals that are going through, that's another way that the brain works. So you have a lot of odds against you when you're an ADHD teen, right? And so when we're teaching them, okay, so when they're out looking for that stimulation, or even when they're going through, they're supposed to separate from their family and supposed to find their own peers, right? That's why they start pushing us away. They go for their own peers who are experiencing the same way of life and then start building a support group there. So I think for a teen, being mindful that, hey, I'm looking for extra stimulation and my logic might not be as connected as my emotions right now. Maybe I should step back and give myself space. And then the parent side of it, being mindful for having teens when you're doing it with compassion or gratitude, then you're building it with those beautiful neurochemicals, a new pathway. So you start to go down that path and you look at the world from a completely different way because it's built with those beautiful neurochemicals instead of this one.
Amazing. Amazing.
It's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stacey. Now, tell me I think you have a free gift for the viewers, and
I do. So I also have binaural beats, and I love binaural beats. So basically, how it works is you have headphones in, right? And have two different tones coming in one side, which is, it's brain entrainment. It basically puts your brain into a specific state. So I have a whole bunch of binaural beats that are for focus, for sleep, for relaxation, for creativity, depending on what brain waves you need. Those binaural beats will put you in that state.
Really? That's amazing. I have to check that out myself. That's really amazing. Awesome. Thank you. And how could everybody find you? How could they reach you? How could they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, ADHD Superhero. I'm also on Instagram under Brain Gangster. But I don't ever do Twitter because
I love the Brain Gangster. I love the Brain Gangster. I love that.
Thank you. Right? We're taking control of our own brains.
Yeah, I agree.
And then braingangster.com. You can find me.com. And on Airbnb Experiences doing the
that's amazing. This is something new now that you're doing, right?
Yeah, just started it.
That's amazing. Definitely, we'll have to talk more about that. I'd love to know about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stacey.
You are so welcome. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you did, and I love it, and I learned so much from you.
Oh, good. I appreciate
Yes, I do, and definitely, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care. All right. Bye-bye, sweetie. Have a good one.
Bye. You too.
Bye.